Welcome to episode 3 of A Zero Teacher is a Hero Teacher. Thank you for those who are returning, and welcome if you're a new viewer. If you're new, it might be worth having a look at the 2 previous videos because they explain the basis of what I'll be talking about. And episode 3 today, Knowing Your Zone of Responsibility, builds on the previous 2 videos. The first one is about what is a zero teacher, how you become a zero teacher, and it's thinking about your work-life balance. It's thinking about whether you're maintaining a 0 or whether you're +1 all the time or -1 all the time, and it's about just a way of checking in on yourself and making sure that you're working in a sustainable way rather than just putting more and more in and making yourself more and more tired. So it's a way of balancing out your work-life balance and a way of thinking about it. In the second episode, we had a look at having a default plan so that you actually know what your 0 looks like. What should you be trying to achieve, and what do you have to do in your job and your life, and what do you have choice about doing in your job and your life, and trying to work out how to balance those things. So that's a way of thinking about that. Now, it's half term for lots of people when I'm recording this. That's either just gone or that you're in the middle of it. And this is a good time to reflect on these things. So have a reflect on your default plan. Are you achieving it? It might be worth having a look at your work-life balance again, doing the time audit, having another go at that and having a look at what sort of balance you're achieving and making decisions about what you want to do more of and less of. And that should help you maintain your 0. So when thinking about your zone of responsibility, I'm going to take you through 3 steps to think about. I see the zone of responsibility as something that changes depending on circumstances. But basically, when things are normal, you've got a set of things that you are responsible for and responsible to do in your life and in your work. In your work, you have a place within a system. Schools are systems. You are expected to be able to function within that. You also have the expectation that there are people there to support you as well. The system should support you in doing your job. So a lot of things we talk about in our work-life balance is something called self-care, and people feel a bit concerned that self-care is giving all the responsibility to the teacher and not enough to the school. I think we have a responsibility to ourselves for self-care, and we have a responsibility for ourselves to make decisions about when and what we do. But that does have to function within a system that can support our work-life balance and our ability to work sustainably. So the 2 are intertwined, and part of this thinking about your zone of responsibility is thinking about how you fit within within the organisation and what your role is. So I think when people are doing their time audit and then thinking about what their default plan, sometimes it's hard to actually capture what it is you're responsible for and what to do in school. So your zone of responsibility may help you do that. So I said there are 3 steps. So the first step is knowing your place in the system. So what is your role? Now, if you're a brand new teacher or a trainee teacher, or if you're middle management, if you've got curriculum responsibility, right up to whether you've got whole school responsibility, you have a place within that system where you are supported, but also you support others, whether it's the students you teach, the children that are in your classes, or whether you're responsible for some other teachers as well. So those are things to keep in mind. So what is your place in the system? What is it that you are actually responsible for? So usually that is planning, marking, teaching. And there's the pastoral side of looking after children that are in our care. But then there may be other responsibilities that we have. So it may be making sure that the curriculum is in the right order, in the right place. It might be making sure that we've gone for, we do our lunchtime duties or whatever it is that we do. There's all these things we do as teachers that we fit part of a system. So step 1 then, that's thinking about where am I? Who am I in this system? Step 2 is, well, what are my actual responsibilities? Now, this is where the zone of responsibility changes to an extent. So if we just take it as a normal day, a normal time, first off, we're responsible for our own health and well-being, our own safety, and at making sure our basic needs are met: eating, sleeping, drinking, all those things. We are then responsible often for our close family, for our dependents if we have them. We're responsible for people close to us, so our home life there. And then we've got responsibilities in our job. So there's another layer here of our job responsibilities. So planning, marking, teaching, and anything else that comes along with that. Now, normally when we're functioning quite well, all those things are well balanced. We often have the ability to help others who are struggling, or just stepping in and doing something here and there to help other people in the system that might be finding that they're having trouble. So that's perfectly acceptable. That's all good. And then thinking about what this means as being part of a zero is, well, being a zero is about making sure that we're not doing too much extra ever. Can we always take that time back to relax, or can we make sure that we're maintaining zero overall? So in our default plan, we may be being a zero. Being a zero is your normal zone responsibility. Now, sometimes that responsibility shrinks. If we're very ill, or we feel unwell, there's a mental health issue, that will shrink right back to just caring for ourselves. So often when we're very poorly, we take time off work to get better. So we're restricting our own responsibility. I can't have responsibility for that right now. I've got to look after myself. If there is something, tragedy in the family, something that happens that's unexpected, that has to be attended to, or childcare issues, things like that, again, things shrink. You go back to the needs of your people in your first line of responsibility. So these sort of things are how this changes, how this flexes, and keeping those things in mind are really important, because making decisions about what you get rid of when you have to retract that zone of responsibility, what responsibility you hand on, and what you actually keep is an important part of that. So step 3 is understanding your zone of responsibility. So where are you right now? So how are you health-wise? How are you doing in your home life, and how are you doing in your work life? So if everything, you're feeling quite healthy, you might be a bit tired, so you can catch up some sleep, but that's where you're at. And then and everything is ticking along in your family, then your zone of responsibility is pretty normal, and you're able to carry on doing what's expected for you at work. So always keep in mind what are commitments and what are choices. So this is what we did in episode 2, thinking about, okay, then things that are commitments are the things that often have to stay. Choices are always the first things to go. So if you've chosen to do something that's beyond your normal work-life balance, then you need to just let those things go. You need to, when you retract your zone of responsibility. And then day to day, just maintaining your zone of responsibility. So taking your zone of responsibility as something that's just like this. If you are all the time increasing that zone, so you're taking on more and more, your work-life balance isn't going to work. Your default plan isn't going to work. So refer back to your default plan. So if something happens that you have the opportunity to make a decision, so you have to ask yourself, is this within my zone of responsibility? If so, then I'll deal with it. If no, then where do I hand it on? And this is knowing your place in the system. So most schools have a support for students, pastoral systems, and so on. So when you are responsible for the children you teach, you are the first line of noticing if a child is ill. And if a child is ill, you pass them on to whoever deals with ill children in the school, so you can carry on teaching the rest of your classes. If a child is upset, you can be the first line, but who do you pass that on to? And if a child is, if you're concerned about the well-being of a child, there's usually someone that can investigate that and support that as well. So those things aren't your responsibility. They're things that you can pass on to somebody else. And there's lots of other examples as well in the whole system. Finally then, we just need to think about, well, who is in that support network? We've got our personal support network, our people that we have at home, our close friends, our family, and so on. We have our professional support network. It could be the teacher that works next door to you, or it could be your line manager, the more formal ones. You might have a mentor at school, or you might have someone who is supporting your own professional development. And then you've got the senior structures within schools, deputy heads, heads of department, and so on, that can support your work when you need them to. So you usually have someone you can go to when things go awry, or someone you can pass things on to when extra things turn up. Always think about what your informal systems of support. Are they your colleagues? Who's your close colleague? Are they within your where you work, or are they in a different part of the school? It may be that there's colleagues that support you that are in supporting roles as well. So you may also be supporting those people, so it balances out. So when you have a bad day, they're able to support you, and when they have a bad day, you're able to support them. But never just have one person that can support you, because they might be having a bad day when you are, and you'll end up not being able to support each other. So think about who is in your support network. Who do I go to when when I'm reaching beyond my zone of responsibility, or I have to contract my zone of responsibility? I'm hoping that's given you some food for thought, something that's made me think a lot about when I'm making decisions. Is this my responsibility? Should I be taking this on? And if so, what do I do about it? And if not, who do I pass it on to, or how do I pass it on? I hope that this has been useful to you. Please subscribe to this channel if you are enjoying it. You will get regular updates as and when I do these, which are about every half term. If you've got any particular requests of things you'd like me to talk about, then I'd happily take those on board. Comments or likes are really useful to me, just to know that people are out there watching. And if you're a subscriber, there will be a little extra short video, just a more personal reflection on this that may help you a little bit further. So thank you for watching. Hope you found that useful, and I look forward to talking to you next time.